A local chapter of the NAACP says parents with children in failing schools want more options for better education. Project Baltimore's Chris Papps explains the most recent state test scores in Baltimore County show us just how many failing schools there are.
We're in serious trouble.
Ryan Coleman, the president of the Randallstown chapter of the NAACP, knows numbers don't lie.
When you're talking about the math scores, I mean, these open up all type of careers in a lot of different areas that you're blocked. You won't go into them if you're not proficient in math. And we're seeing our children, especially children of color, having these issues.
Coleman is responding to what Project Baltimore just told him. We analyzed the most recent state test scores released last month, and we found 27 schools in Baltimore County had 5% or fewer of the students test proficient in math. 27 schools. We can't see the exact numbers. Citing student privacy, the state redacts the scores for low-performing schools. But we can see in those 27 schools, more than 15,000 students took the test, and at least 95% were not proficient in math. As we dig deeper into the scores, we can see of those 27 schools, 17 of them are high schools. That is an alarming number, but it makes sense if you look at the math scores for the students going into high school. Last year, more than 10,000 students in Baltimore County took the 7th or 8th grade state math exams, and 5% or fewer scored proficient. Think about that. In all of Baltimore County schools, 5% or fewer of the 7th and 8th graders who took those tests scored proficient in math.
For the last 10 years, I mean, it's been failing schools after failing schools. And I just think our membership is tired of it and they just want options now.
Coleman said these alarmingly low math scores are reflected in the results of a survey recently released by the Randallstown NAACP. The civil rights organization surveyed 700 of its members about crime, the economy, and education. From the survey, 86% of respondents said a child in a failing school should have access to high-achieving magnet schools. 52% were in favor of using public education dollars for private schools. 51% favored charter schools, and 30% are in favor of vouchers.
African American students are not being educated, and they want to keep our students in these failing schools.
You said they want to keep our children in failing schools. Who is they?
The supporters of public education to a certain degree, you know. It could be the unions, it could be the folks that are well-intentioned, I believe, but what has fomented from that is failing schools for African American children year over and year over and year over.
At most of these 27 schools, the majority of students are African American, but the families at these schools now have fewer options to leave. Earlier this year, lawmakers in Annapolis reduced the funding for a popular state program called Boost. Boost offers scholarships similar to vouchers to income-eligible families, allowing them to attend parochial or other non-public schools. Last year, the program statewide had more than 3,200 recipients, mostly minority students from Baltimore County and Baltimore City. Maryland Governor Wes Moore and special interest groups like the teachers' unions have opposed programs like Boost, saying they hurt public schools, which lose money when students leave.
We made the largest investment in public education by any governor in our state's history.
In his State of the State address, Governor Moore touted how his administration is funding public education at record levels. But according to the results of this NAACP survey, more funding isn't fixing the problems. And African Americans in Baltimore County, according to the NAACP, want educational options for their families. But instead, their elected officials in Annapolis are giving them fewer options.
We can't have our children jailed, sequestered in failing schools. The whole purpose of public education was to educate people who could not be educated, who were not rich. That was the whole purpose of public education. And that's not happening right now.
I'm Chris Pabst. Thanks for watching. Here's another story to watch. Also, if you have a story idea, please send us a message.